Let's just jump right in with a comment question. Ray Reynolds puts, does the Bible teach that the president is in office because God placed? So is our president in office because God placed? And, that one instantly, thank you for that question, because Romans chapter 13 is where we instinctively go.
Yeah, that's where I was turning to right now.
And Romans chapter 13, beginning in verse 1, going and following, talks about the idea of being ordained. Now, I want to, before we read that, you read, what translation do you read out of, Troy?
New King James.
New King James.
And I have the King James in front of me here, too.
And I do the King James, but both are excellent. But on the word ordained, is that what the New King James uses? Or ordained of God?
It says appointed.
Appointed,
Yep,
okay.
It uses the word appointed.
Sometimes we see that word ordained, and we forget that, and I think about, it's either in Titus 1 or 1 Timothy 3. I think it's 1 Timothy 3 where he tells Timothy to ordain elders, and it just means to set in order, or as New King James says, appoint.
Yes.
Yeah, is the word that's there.
Titus 1:5, yeah.
All right, well, that's
I'm
our
sorry.
concordance over here.
Yeah, sorry.
Don't apologize.
That's a good talent, brother, and we're thankful for it.
Yeah, no
All right.
problem.
So go ahead and read Romans 13 for us.
All right, so let every soul, verse 1, let every soul be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and the authorities that exist are appointed by God. Therefore, whoever resists the authority resists the ordinances of God, and those who resist will bring judgment on themselves. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to evil. Do you want to be unafraid of authority? Do what is good, and you will have praise from the same. So I'll just basically go to verse 4 there for the time being.
All right, and that idea of the being ordained, set in order, then we would answer yes. Now, with that being said, I want to put this caveat. A power that being ordained or set in order of God does not mean that he approves of the individual or necessarily of all their actions. God has, through history, always used the powers that be to carry out his will.
That's right.
Think about, let's go to the Old Testament
There
real
you
quick.
go.
And we have the children Joseph goes into Egypt, and suddenly he is second only to Pharaoh. That doesn't mean that Pharaoh is a godly individual. We could probably debate that a lot about the Pharaoh that knew Joseph. Did he actually follow after that God? I don't think he left all the false gods. I think he saw the God of Joseph as one of many gods still.
Yeah, just like the Roman Empire, Roman emperors did.
But he used, and I always find this so intriguing, that Pharaoh, the Israelites moved into the land using Pharaoh's chariots and wagons, being given land by Pharaoh.
That's right.
And then, if you fast forward through history, and God used that to allow the children of Israel to develop in that land, to grow and to multiply. And it was until the time he was ready for them to depart. But then you look at the warning that's given by the prophets over and over again: follow me or you'll be punished. And God used in the book of Judges, the Midianites, the Canaanites, the
Perizzites,
there we go. All the Zites, he
Exactly.
used them. But then later on, he would use Assyria.
Uh-huh.
He'd use Babylon.
Uh-huh.
And so did God allow certain powers to be, take the Roman government would be a prime example. That was the perfect government time. That was the fullness of time to allow.
Yeah, Galatians 4:4, exactly. Perfect when everything came together, the fullness of time.
And so when we say that God has put in place or appointed or set in order, sometimes it's him allowing certain things to happen, not as a blessing of that particular government or that person or their actions, but it may be something that's going to be coming years down the road.
Great
that he's
point.
allowing his providence. And
That's
so
right.
don't take it as an endorsement of an individual.
Exactly.
Right.
And you never know, because God's providence is one of those things that's hard to pinpoint. It's easier to look back and see God's providence a lot of times, but you can't pinpoint it in the day and age. So that's a very, very good question, but one that you got to be careful with.
Yeah, that he's God's servant. He is God's servant in the sense that whenever they do what God desires for them to do and carries it out, but
Yeah.
that would be anybody.
Hey, I want to give a quick shout out to Matt Kane. Good to have you on here with us, brother.
Did you have a question?
Well,
Or a statement you want to say there?
there is a passage in Daniel chapter 4, verse 17. Now, this is when he is about to punish Nebuchadnezzar for his rebellion. And it does mention here this matter by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdoms of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basis of men.
All right. So that's certainly he's
Yeah.
been involved in all the time.
Right.
And realize we are getting actually into a deeper theology view,
Right.
because you can get
On
into the
providence.
concept of natural theology and that, and I think it's good that we realize we have a God that interacts in this world, that he has not walked away from it like the Epicurean view or the deist view, even at times, that he sets things in order and now he's done. No, I think Stephen's a prime example that God is still concerned, God is still involved, and he just doesn't work in some other way sometimes.